All right, let's talk about Rabbi Tovia Singer and Isaiah 53, a man of sorrows, whom Christians believe, including myself, because I'm a Christian. I believe that this is talking about the Messiah, Jesus Christ. But according to Rabbi Tovia Singer, this is not talking about the Messiah. Instead, these are kings that are trying to figure out what's going on in the future. They're astonished and all this kind of stuff. And I will just read a couple of verses here, and then I'll talk about what basically Rabbi Tovia is saying. So this is the disputed verse here, verse 13. This is Isaiah 52. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. So according to Rabbi Tovia Singer, you have to read at least the chapter before, or you have to at least read the paragraph before to see who this person is talking about. So according to Rabbi Tovia Singer, this is talking about my servant here is Israel. And before that, we see here, verse 12, for ye will not go out with haste, nor go by flight, for the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear reward. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently, he shall be exalted, be very high. And as many were astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations, the kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told of them they shall see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. And this is the part where Rabbi Tovia is saying this is all the kings of the nations. This is not Israel saying, who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed. I could be misunderstanding what Rabbi Tovia Singer is saying, but it seemed like in his video he's saying that this report, this is the nations going like, how can this be? How can the Messiah come and all this kind of stuff? And so he's throwing this out as this servant is Israel. And what we Christians are saying, that the servant here is the Messiah, because it says here, many were astonished at thee. His visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So basically, he was also beaten when he was on trial. So in order to fully understand that, we got to dig around a little bit just to see what the word servant is in Scripture. So we understand, okay, I can buy into the concept that Isaiah is mostly poetic in nature. Probably 95% of it is poetic in nature. I get that. So let's do a search for any time we see the word servant. Verse 11, this is 53:11. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied by his knowledge. Shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Again, we're talking about this is the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So let's go back and see when Rabbi Tovia Singer is saying this is no, that's not the Messiah. That's Israel. So let's go here to chapter 49, verse 6. And he said, is it a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel? And I will also give thee for light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. So according to Rabbi Tovia Singer, the servant is Israel. So if we read this in that context, my servant, let's just insert Israel, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, which is also known as Israel, and to restore the preserved of Israel. It doesn't make any sense to go Israel, tribes of Israel and Israel. So you have to look at it as this is talking about the Messiah, basically as God's servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. So this is what the role of the Messiah is. And I think we can all agree on that so far. Verse 49, chapter 49, verse 3. And said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Now, in this verse, we can tell, I 100% agree. My servant here is, O Israel, in whom I'll be glorified. But it changes to talk about the Messiah. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. Again, talking about the Messiah. Okay, so let's go back a little bit more to, this is chapter 45, verse 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake, so this is Jacob now, Israel, and Israel mine elect. So Jacob, my servant's sake, for Jacob, the person Jacob, my servant, sake, because of the promise made to Jacob. There was a promise made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So here we see that Isaiah is saying, I guess this is the Lord saying, for Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect. So talking about the nation of Israel. So in this case, Jacob is the servant. All right? Even though thou hast not known me. Talking about Israel. Israel fell away. So let's go to 44, verse 21. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee, thou art my servant. He says it twice. O Israel, thou shalt not be forgotten of me. So there we're talking about, again, Jacob and Israel. Now let's go over here to chapter 44, verse 1. Now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel. So again, two servants basically, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. So let's go back here. We're trying to read all the verses that have servant in Isaiah. So this is chapter 43, verse 10. Ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither there be after me. So we're in agreement. There is one God. Who is blind? So this is verse 19. Who is blind but my servant? Or who is deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind that he is, as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant? Again, talking about the nation of Israel. Chapter 42. Behold my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. To me, this is the Messiah. Talking about the Messiah. Back up a little bit more. Let's go to chapter 41, verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant. Talking about Jacob now. Thou art my servant. I have chosen thee and not cast thee away. Actually, this could be Abraham, which is interesting, right? So let's go back to chapter 37, Isaiah. For I will defend the city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. So now we're talking about King David, because he made a promise that the descendants of David there will always be someone on the throne in David's lineage. So we can see here that servant can also mean a person. Could mean Jacob, could mean Abraham, could mean David, could also be Israel at the same time. So this is what Rabbi Tovia Singer is not telling you. He's just using one verse out of context and saying, no, that's only Israel. In the book of Isaiah, Isaiah is only talking about Israel. The servant is Israel. That is Rabbi Tovia Singer's argument. And I'm trying to explain that it flips. It flips between people and nation, back and forth. And we have to understand that. And it flips between Messiah, nation, and people. All right. Hopefully you got something out of that. I know it could be confusing at times, but feel free to subscribe. And as always, feel free to comment. Thanks for watching.